In this video, we're going to look at speed. So this question says, a car travels 100 miles in 2 hours and 30 minutes. Find the speed in miles per hour. So what we do for a question like this, we first draw a triangle that you've probably met in maths and physics before. So we draw a triangle like this. We always have distance on the top, speed here, and time on this side, and in the middle we have a times. So we can use this triangle to manipulate the formula. So we want to work out speed, so it's going to be speed is distance divided by time. So it's going to be, well, the distance is 100 miles, but if you notice, we want the speed in miles per hour, but the problem here is the time is in 2 hours and 30 minutes. Well, that's the same thing as 2.5 hours. Well, 2.5 hours is 2.5. So I'm going to write that here. 2 hours and 30 minutes is exactly the same thing as 2.5 hours. So we're going to divide this. So we're just going to do 100 divided by 2.5. Gives me 40. So I get 40 miles per hour. Here's the next example. It says Aisha runs at a steady speed of 8 meters per second. How far does she travel in 4.3 seconds? And then it says, what is her speed in kilometers per hour? So again, for this question, we're going to draw the triangle as we drew before. So now we can say how far, well, that means the distance. So we can say, well, the distance is speed times the time from our triangle. So in our case, the speed is 8 meters per second. And the time is also in seconds, which is fine. So we're going to multiply that by 4.3, and that will give me a distance. Now, because it's in meters per second, that means the distance must be in meters. So it's going to be 8 times 4.3, which is 34.4. And that's in meters. For the next part, we need to be careful here. It's asking for the speed in kilometers per hour. So if I write down her speed in meters per second, this is in meters. So first of all, we're going to say, well, there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So what we're going to do, if we're going to convert from meters to kilometers, we're going to divide by 1,000. So divide by 1,000 here, divide by 1,000 here. So that will give me 1 over 1,000 kilometers is the same as 1 meter. So that means 8 meters means we're going to take this result and times it by 8. Do the same thing here. And that will give me 8 over 1,000 in terms of kilometers. The other issue we've got here is it's in hours, not seconds. But what we can do the following. We can say, well, it's going to be, so in 1 hour we've got 60 minutes. So in 60 minutes, you've got 60 seconds. So that means in 1 hour, it's going to be 60 times 60. So that's going to be 1 hour is going to be 3,600 seconds. So when we want to convert 8 meters per second into kilometers per hour, well, To go from 8 meters to kilometers, we know that's 8 over 1,000. And then we need to times it by 3,600. Now that will give me the answer for converting it to kilometers per hour. So I get 8 over 1,000 times by 3,600, which is 28.8. This to kilometers per hour. Here's a question for you to try. You can pause the video, and when you're done, I will go through my work solution. Okay, welcome back. So the question states, Mia drove a distance of 343 kilometers. She took 3 hours and 30 minutes. Work out her average speed in kilometers per hour. So we're going to draw our triangle again, speed, distance, time. So now we can say that 3 hours and 30 minutes, 3 hours and 30 minutes we know is the same thing as 3.5 hours. Then we can say, well, speed is distance divided by time. So the distance is in kilometers and the time is in hours. So we got 343 is the distance. The time is 3.5. Then we can work that out here. So we get 343 divided by 3.5. That gives me 98 kilometers per hour. Here's another question for you to try. You can pause the video, and when you're done, I will go through my work solution. Okay, so now we have a triangle. Speed, distance, and time. And then the question states, Daniel leaves his house at 7 o'clock in the morning. He drives 87 miles to work. He drives at an average speed of 36 miles per hour. At what time does Daniel arrive to work? So we can say, right, they've given me the distance, they give me the speed. So I can say time is distance divided by the speed. So I can say 87 divided by 36. So we can work this out here. So just do 87 divided by 36, which gives me 2.416 and so on. But this is a problem. It's hard to read that in terms of hours. We have a special button on the calculator that has a 0 and some speech marks on it. That's the button we're going to press, and that will give me exactly 2 hours and 25 minutes. So I get 2 hours and 25 minutes from my calculator there. Now, if Daniel leaves his house at 7 o'clock, that means he takes 2 hours and 25 minutes to get to work. So that means he arrives at 9:25 a.m.